At first glance, the marriage of Rob Dixon and Paige Birgfeld looked picture perfect. But when I covered the case back in 2016, I quickly learned that the relationship was troubled.
From what I saw of Paige and Rob's marriage, it was strained. So I started to question, what's their family dynamic like?
I would describe the marriage as extremely volatile, not a loving situation.
Her husband had been very wealthy. As Rob's wealth kind of toppled, he became under more and more pressure, and it bled out into the relationship.
He wasn't bringing in enough money, and I'm not going to put that on him. They're both in a relationship, and I think that just started beating them down.
A lot of couples fight when their marriage is strained. But one night in 2004, Paige makes this 911 call to police.
Where's your emergency? My husband and I were in a fight, and he was supposed to watch my children while I went to work. And he said that I would come home and find them all murdered.
No charges are filed against Dixon that year, but 12 months later?
In October 2005, he was accused of assaulting Paige, punching her, slapping her.
Yep, filed charges. And he had to answer.
Although Dixon denies assaulting Paige, he pleads guilty to misdemeanor harassment. The charge is later dismissed, but that incident marks the beginning of the end for their marriage.
Paige and Rob divorced in 2006.
She ended up with the house, and that was her home. That was her kids' home, and that certainly was a big, big overhead.
She was living in this very beautiful 6,000 square foot home, and I think her mortgage was somewhere around $6,000 a month.
Paige was very concerned about finances because she didn't want to lose the house.
All she had to offer the kids was the safety of their home. To not change one thing in their life because they'd been through years of struggle. So she tried to hang on to the house.
We're gonna do 2 dances. This is our first group.
She was already doing so many little piecemeal things, but they weren't enough to keep the house.
Even after the divorce, Paige's fear of Rob is still palpable.
She specifically told me she was worried about Rob, that he was coming, he was gonna do something bad.
Then, in March of 2007, Paige writes this bone-chilling post on an online message board. My children would ask me if Dad was going to kill me. I can't imagine what life would be like for them after he killed me. I would gladly sacrifice every penny of child support if he would stay away. That's one of the reasons why, when Paige goes missing, her friends fear foul play.
First person you thought might have done this?
Rob was the first person that came to mind.
My immediate thought, honestly, was Rob Dixon.
Her friend Carol Linderholm even mentions Rob on a worried voicemail she leaves for Paige after she disappears.
Paige, this is Carol. What's going on? I hope you're all right. I just saw on the news that you've been missing. I hope you're all right. Oh, my God. I hope this isn't Rob. Oh, my God. Talk to you later. I hope. Oh, my God.
We were, of course, very interested in Rob Dixon as a potential suspect because we knew about the volatility of the relationship. But he had moved to Philadelphia at that point, and we were quickly able to show that his phone was in Philadelphia at that time, and he couldn't have been in 2 places at once.
He came out immediately when he found out she was missing.
I think that Rob is crushed, and he still loves Paige, and he definitely loves his children.
With Rob Dixon cleared, investigators started looking at Paige's other ex, her first husband, Ron Beigler, and they discover he's still in her life.
They were high school sweethearts. He was the love of her life initially.
I liked everything about her. I liked who she was on the inside.
They have this huge wedding set on a peak overlooking the Denver skyline. But their youthful rush to the altar ends as quickly as it starts.
It had come down to a kid issue, like that she just really wanted a family and he really didn't. And so that relationship didn't work.
It might not have worked out back then, but the very day Paige went missing, it turns out she'd spent time with Ron Biegler. It seems Paige was rekindling her romance with her first love right before she disappeared.
She reconnected with Ron. She would find herself driving up to Eagle to meet him halfway, and they'd have picnics.
We just decided to meet that day, just to be together and have a picnic and be in each other's company. The Eagle is halfway point for both of us, so we left at the same time and arrived back in our towns at approximately the same time, and she called me to make sure I made it back into Denver, and that's the last I ever heard of her.
But you did talk about a missing person emergency?
He had reported when he called 911 that he had been with her earlier that day.
I saw her all day on Thursday, and then I talked to her when she got back to town. She's definitely missing because she would never leave her children.
He remembers her getting into her car, getting on I-70 headed west. He got into his car and drove on I-70 headed east, and we could track his phone headed all the way back to the Front Range. He was ruled out almost immediately.
There is still no sign of Paige Birgfeld. The mother of three has been missing for 3 weeks now in Grand Junction.
Meanwhile, there are hundreds of searchers combing those deserts outside of Grand Junction, and then new clues emerge from someone who wasn't even looking.
Perhaps the biggest clue came from the unlikeliest of sources. A motorist with a flat tire pulls along the side of this road to fix it and then notices something strange. Paige's checkbook. Investigators soon find Paige's personal checks and business cards, other personal items dropped all along this road.
One check was torn out at a time, one card was thrown out at a time. So it appears she was just trying to leave us a trail of breadcrumbs to show us where she was going to.
The items that were thrown along the highway were very personal to her, and they identified her. I can come up with no other reason why she would have done that other than here's where you can find me.
It's very heart-wrenching.
If she was throwing stuff out of the car, she had been alive.
All of us on the search team wanted to think she was still alive somewhere, that she was being held.
But still, no trace of Paige herself. What does surface is a very different profile of Paige Birgfeld, one very few knew about.
We were walking along the highway, and there was a business card.
We found out that she had a double life.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.